Welcome to another episode of Grief Heals, the podcast where we explore how it is that grief heals us with our relationship with ourselves, with one another, and our whole wide world. I am your host, Lisa Michelle Zega, and I am excited to have another conversation. Hello. This is the first official ever recording from my new office in Texas. And I absolutely love my space. It is so beautiful. So beautiful. It just feels really wonderful to be here. And yeah, it's exciting to recognize that this is my first ever podcast coming from my little she shed office in Texas. Yeah, yay! I was so sick. I was sick for 7 days. I was in bed. I mean, in bed, like not doing stuff, not even watching TV, like because I just was sleeping so much. And yeah, so it feels great to have had a week where I've been recovering, and I still have this really deep chest cough, and I can just tell that my body is healing and growing and mending and all the things. And I was very surprised. I was surprised. I have not been ill like that in I don't even remember when. So it definitely was a time to reflect, a time to slow down, a time to just be with myself and have some honest reflections with myself. And yeah, and a lot had happened in this transition. So there was a lot to reflect on and to figure out how I was actually doing. Because sometimes, without really slowing down, I don't actually know how I'm doing. But that's not necessarily what I'd like to talk about today. So let's just maybe take a breath together. If you're up for it, just breathing in nice and slow, filling the belly, and letting the exhale be longer than the inhale. Yeah, and you might even notice that just taking a moment to pause and breathe, finding yourself wanting to stretch or move or roll the shoulders or just something to get a wee bit more comfortable in your space wherever you are at this moment. Thank you, by the way. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having conversations with me. Thank you for caring about grief. I really feel like caring about grief is caring about yourself. And when we really become present to ourselves, we can become present to other people. And when we're present to other people, we create the world we want to live in. And it is absolutely magical. I just, relationships. This reminds me that in terms of the relevance of standing in and being with our own suffering, and how that is such a gift, not just to ourselves, but to the whole wide world. I overheard someone talking about it was something on the ballot, local community here, about the schools and improving the schools, right? Like money to improve the schools. And the person said, well, when I went to school, I was in a building that was, however old, and I did fine, right? Nobody was trying to give me a better building to, be educated in. And I was like, oh, wow. That's exactly what happens when we're not present to what we needed. And we're just like, well, I survived. then we're not present to, how we can make the world better for other people, because it's like the unprocessed, unmetabolized stuff of, well, nobody made it better for me and I'm just fine. And that sentiment is one that when you listen, you don't have to go far to hear that being voiced in the world. And as I was thinking about that when it happened, I was just like, yeah, this is why it really, really matters to enter into what actually happened to us, because then we can be with what that was like, and with compassion, with love, with kindness, with tenderness, right? And then that opens up that capacity to be with others with kindness, with witness, with compassion, without judgment, right? Just with love and moving in. And it really is a way that we move into the situations and concerns of other people, because we've moved into our own. And yeah, it's just a beautiful synergy that happens. So, what I woke up thinking about this morning and plan to talk on today is the way, and I've talked about this in another episode, but I'm sure it's a new day, right? I'm a new woman and I'll be talking about it differently. And that is the role that shooting on ourselves plays in our grief, and how it's actually not, it's preventative. Shoulding is preventative from entering our grief and sort of the outcome of that. So let me just tell you what an example from my own life. I woke up this morning and I had a headache. And last night I had played games with my mom and with a friend, and I had 2 glasses of wine. And so when I woke up and my head was hurting, immediately it was like, "Ah, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that." And I was like, stop. This is crazy making. I did do that. I can't undo it. It's done. The invitation is to be with myself right here, right now, in what is, in this consequence, in this experience, in this feeling, to arrive to myself. So I'm laying in the bed and thinking about, okay, my head is hurting. What do I need? What is it like to be in my own human experience and to tend to myself here? And there was a grasping, it felt like, from a part of my brain just wanting to pull me into, well, you should have done something different, regret that, all this stuff. And I started thinking about and unraveling how this plays out when we've lost someone, and then all the ways that we wish we would have done something different, had a different last conversation, had not said that thing to them, wished we would have been better, whatever it is. And any way that is like taking us from the now, the present, and enticing us to want to redo something from history, which is like, we don't get to do that, right? And we do get to do that, but that's another conversation. That is a different conversation. But there are ways where we can reconsolidate the experience that once was. But before, I don't know if we'll go there today, before seeking to go there and talking about the ways that reality bends, I'd like to be with, the should is not trying to get us to reconsolidate something or to metabolize it. It's literally, in my estimation, seeking to protect us from feeling whatever we're feeling in that moment. It's a distraction, it's a way of escape, but it's also crazy making, because it's asking to do something different than you're recognizing that you did. So, for instance, this morning, what I did when this happened is I started reminding myself of what my brain was wanting me to forget. And that is, I had an amazing night with my mom, with my girlfriend. We laughed, we talked, we played, we razzed each other. Like it was just, there was such a good time. And all right, so I had a headache, and I have thoughts about drinking and different stuff, and so all that was coming in and accusing me and shitting on me, and okay, but the truth of the matter is I had done what I had done, and trying to undo it was not helpful. It was not helpful. It was a way of like just making me spin in circles and feel icky. And it was actually robbing the joy of what there was, right? Like what we did do and what we did experience. So the invitation was to just enter and be with myself in the experience of exactly how I woke up. All right. Okay. My head hurts. Yeah. I don't feel great. Yeah, all right. Well, what do you need now? Oh, well, I determined I need water. I need to go jump on my little bouncy rebounder, right? I need to open up my lymphatic drain. I need to give my body ways to detox. And I just need to sit. Just need to sit and be and allow the human experience that I'm having. I get to welcome the headache. Hey, right? Just welcoming all parts of my own experience. So when Chip died, the morning that we were saying goodbye, we'd been together all weekend. It was Easter weekend. And the morning that we were going our separate ways to our respective places of employment, um, I recognized I had just hired a new person and she was going to be starting that day. And in my mind, initially, I thought I had all morning. I didn't need to be to the office till, late morning, 10 o'clock ish. And then all of a sudden I realized, oh my gosh, I've got someone reporting here at 8 a.m. Well, the reason that's relevant to the story is I was unsettled. I needed to get out of there. I was an hour away from my office. And I gave a barely hug. I was itching to leave. It went from being a morning of savoring one another to a morning of hurried goodbyes and really just to slow down and let him, like, so that we could leave at the same time. Felt like, oh, I was out of my skin, right? Rushed to work, all the things, not knowing that that was the final in our skin suits holding one another goodbye. And it was like, it was a barely hug. It was a barely kiss, right? And then he dies. So guess what? One of the focal points of my sense of loss was like this regret that I did that I rushed off, right? Without the backstory and the perfectly normal human experience of wanting to get to this person that is brand new to the organization that I'm onboarding. And in focusing on, oh, wishing that goodbye had been different, which I couldn't change, I was also missing all the savored goodbyes, all the long hugs, all the good experiences, all the things. So, okay, when that came up, the invitation of grief is just to be with, yeah, all right, Lise, that's not the goodbye you would have wanted. It's not. And to ask myself, well, what would I have wanted differently? To be in that gap with myself, to feel the experience of, oh, if I would have only known, if I would have only known, I would have done it so different. and then letting myself enter in. And this is what I was talking about earlier about how we can change things. Because you know what? We can spiritually enter that space and give the goodbye that I wished I would have given, right? So, first, I enter the space of the gap between what I wanted to do and what I did and feel the pain of that. Just feel it and love on myself in that pain. Be gracious to her, right? Recognize, yeah, honey, what you did versus what you wanted to do. Ouch. And be in the ouch. And go in and say, all right, what do I wish I would have done? And invite him into that space and give the kind of long, savoring goodbye in the spiritual realm that I wished I would have done. And you know what? I get a whole different experience. I get a whole different experience of that final goodbye because just because that's how it happened, it doesn't have to stay that way. What if time is an illusion? What if there is no real linear space of time that way? And so that I can just be with him in the way that I wish that it was, and allow that and feel that yummy goodbye and feel the tenderness and all the love in my heart, because we really do get to do that. It's a both and. We get to be with ourselves and what we wish was different, and you know, minister, care for, um, give salve to the different facets of our circumstance, and we also get to reimagine. We get to say those last words, like when I'm working with people that have said goodbye to others in the way that we know, in flesh and blood, communication, and someone goes from this life to the next. We do that. We complete the conversations that are incomplete. We go and have the conversations that we wish we would have had. We apologize for the things that we wish we would have done differently. We forgive the things that we wish could have been differently in the relationship. We go through and in many ways reimagine and relive the experience with this person, so that all the things that we want to remain and cherish, that are nurturing and feel so good, we get to keep. And what feels like it needs to just be released gets to be released into the soil of our life, so that it can be composted and broken down where it becomes its own nourishment, so that death then feeds new life, new experiences, new opportunities. And what happens with that is the life that comes after is enriched. So by giving myself the experience, I'll just stick with the story that I told you, by giving myself the experience of being with what I wish I would have done different on that final day, and loving into the parts of me that are really hurting and sad and angry at myself and all the things, and just being with her. And then also allowing for a brand new experience. So recreating what I wish I would have done. And you know what this does? It allows the dryness, the leaves, picturing I'm looking at the tree behind me with all the different seasons, right? So looking into those orange and yellowing leaves that are browning and getting ready to dry off so that they can fall to the ground. And then I'm allowing those to compost, right? And feed into that winter soil, that soil of, when things look dormant, so that a new life can come forth in the spring. By my allowing that, it created a newness and a richness in my relationship with Brent. A new, and even before Brent, a newness in my relationship with myself that feeds the life that I get to have with my partner, with my friends, with just the new life that I enjoy is so much fed and enriched by the life that I've allowed myself to feel into, to so that it would be metabolized within me, so that what needs to be released can be released, but not let go in such a way that it's banished. Let go in such a way that it becomes the nourishment for new life. So I have a feeling, well, let me just tell you, there's part of me going, you know what, Lisa, you really need to just scrap this podcast, this particular recording. It's been all over the place. It's not working. And then there's another part of me going, yeah, maybe. And maybe it's just a human conversation. And maybe we don't need to curate everything so refined. And maybe we can just be in the human experience and whatever aspects of this want to come forth and feed another person's life. Maybe that's good enough. What if that's the truth? So I'm going to stop and allow this to be what it is, to live how it lives, to give you what it gives you, to give me what it gives me, to be in this together, right? And so let me just come full circle before releasing this podcast. Shoulds, this idea of going back and we're shoulding on something that's already happened, rather than feeling into what it's inviting us to feel into, allowing it to feel exactly like it feels, just exactly how it feels, because it just feels exactly like it feels. Whether this morning it's my head hurting exactly like it was hurting, right? Or my heart hurting exactly as it hurt when I found out that my final goodbye was the way that it was. Shoulding is robbing that and trying to get us to live in a space that's not real, a space that isn't what is, okay? And then we can go into what is. And when we go there, we can also ask beautiful questions like, how did you want it to be? And then we can reimagine, recreate, relive the experience so that I'm giving to Chip what I wanted to give to him. And I'm giving to me what I wanted for myself. And that gives me the courage to let go of what was so that I can have the soil of new life enriched with what was. And in that way, we're never really letting anything go. We're letting all life be and live within us. Yeah, so how about we just take a breath together, breathing in the life that is, breathing out nourishment for our life. Yeah. And I'm going to stretch out my arms and I'm going to stretch them and widen them around you and around me and squeeze in. Oh, and just allow so much love. Yeah. So with that, just send blessings of love, hope, joy, just holding all that you're holding and recognizing that you're held, that I'm held, that we are held. Mwah. Bye for now.
been listening to Grief Heals with Lisa Michelle Zega. The podcast is produced by me, Eric Simpson, in association with Jump Up and Down Productions. Music by Candelian, Drunken Nights to Sunday Mornings, and Stefan Carlin, A Calming Ocean, A Common Notion. If you would like more information about the work Lisa does, point your browsers to legityou.com. That's LEGITYOU. Lisa can also be reached at lisamichelle@legityou.com. This has been a Jump Up and Down production.